Good evening and welcome to the October 19th Millis Public School Committee meeting. You can find this fantastic video on YouTube or at, on Mondays at 7 p.m. on Channel 8 on Comcast or Verizon Channel 37. All meeting videos are also posted to the Millis Public Schools website under School Committee, and all videos are also available on YouTube, like I said before. I will take attendance. Mr. Conroy.
Here.
Mr. Catalano.
Here.
Ms. Gibbons.
Here.
Ms. Roach.
Here.
And I am here as well, Ms. Briggs. And we have our teacher rep, Ms. Coppice. And no student reps?
Nope. We do. Jennifer's here.
Oh, hello, student rep, welcome. How do you pronounce your last name? Jen Scopinetti. And Mr. Melandi is not here today. So, Becca, did anyone sign in for open session? No. We can start with our action items, or should we have the reps come first and tell us about, why don't you guys come up and tell us about what's going on? Do you want to start? You can just come up to the microphone up here.
Okay. So the Millis Girls Volleyball Breast Cancer Awareness Fundraiser is having their annually volleyball, which is Volleyball for a Cure, and it's tomorrow starting at 3:45, the freshman game, and then 5 is the JV game, and then 6 is the varsity game. And the Millis Mohawk Council had a great outcome at their last month fundraiser last Monday at Dunkin' Donuts, raising money for their field trip to Plymouth Plantation. That's it.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jen.
Good evening. So, the Clyde Brown has been celebrating 2 weeks of fire prevention safety with visits from firefighters Otis and Matt teaching the students what to do in the event of a fire as part of the SAFE program. Millis CPAC is hosting a Halloween party on 10/25 at the library, and the Clyde Brown Home School Association is doing Trunk or Treat in the Clyde Brown parking lot on Saturday, October 30th from 5 to 7 p.m. The Millis Middle School has been named to the U.S. News Best Middle Schools list for the state of Massachusetts. Tomorrow, October 20th, the mid-trimester progress reports come out for the middle school. So that's something exciting for the parents to look forward to. The Tri-County Open House will be on the 30th. I guess they can go to the open house and then go trunk or treating. The student council elections in the middle school are this week, so I look forward to the newsletter to find out who won. The Metro West Health Survey will be administered upstairs on the 26th and the 28th. Grade 6 art students have been celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month doing traditional Mexican folk art. Grade 7 is headed to the YMCA this week, and grade 8 is working on their Thanksgiving boxes. At the high school, we're going to be doing the Metro West Health Survey next week as well. The sophomores and the juniors had a fun Saturday morning taking their PSATs and their pre-ACTs. They were thrilled. It is National Chemistry Week this week. So the Chem Club has been giving Mr. Adicki, the morning announcements of their fun chemistry facts. We've learned about butter, fat, and chloroform so far. Golf has had its most successful regular season, so congratulations to Mr. Benham and the golfers. Picture Day is October 27th, and Ray DeMarco has restarted the chess club this year as part of his senior project. And finally, apparently there's going to be a cyber safety seminar, say that 3 times fast, on Thursday, October 21st, which is 2 days from now, from 7 to 8 p.m. Folks can look at the Millis Public Schools website to register. So those are the doings in the last 2 weeks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
You too.
All right, action items. School committee meeting minutes from the last time we met.
Madam Chair,
Ms. Gibbons.
I make a motion to approve the 10/5/21 school committee meeting minutes as presented.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Consideration to approve a fee waiver for Metro West basketball.
Madam Chair,
Ms. Roach.
I make a motion to approve the fee reduction for Millis Youth Basketball Association from, let me see, they're requesting a reduction in hourly rate for gym space for Millis High School and Clyde Brown from $26 to $13 an hour for the upcoming 2021-2022 season, retroactive to September 27th, which was the start of their season.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion?
Madam Chair,
Ms. Gibbons?
just for anybody watching, this is consistent with what we've done with Metro West Basketball in the past. So this is a discount that we've given them every year, and this does not include the reduction or waiving of any custodial fees. So it's just the hourly facility rental fee reduction.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Mr.
I'm looking at, part of the notes is the meeting minutes from 11/3/20. And there's the motion, if we're making a reduction, the action items or the notes about the action items should be complete and document that there was a fee reduction. I remember the vote, but the note should say, if we do vote this, it should say a reduction of 50%.
I wrote that in here just now.
Okay, but I was going back,
Okay.
so we're
Did
not.
you say that in there?
No, we don't have to go back and do that, but
Okay.
it
No,
should
I have
be.
it current. I wrote 26 to 13. I didn't write 50%.
Right.
Which would you prefer?
And, no, 50% is fine.
Okay.
And then additionally, in the work, in the school property, use of school property, this is from 2004. It doesn't state about the mask policy. So I think we should either update or put in writing, and they sign in writing, acknowledge that mask, and I'm using the language from last time, from 11/3/20, was masks are to be worn at all times.
Right.
So either that becomes part of the motion, or it becomes, actually, I think it should be discussed, we're discussing it now. We write a document and they sign off on that. And the signature should be someone, a person, not just MYB.
Yeah, sure. Mr. Miller, in his email to us, said that regarding current safety protocols, they have a strict mandatory mask requirement for anyone in either gym, players, coaches, parents, at all times, regardless of vaccine
Okay.
status or age.
That is good. I would like a document where they sign off, and because that should be used not just for them, but anyone else, so
I agree.
it becomes consistent.
And they do have a current document that they have signed, a person has signed, that says that they must adhere to all, district policies. And that would include your masking policy.
I'm not opposed in the current state that we actually specifically call that out and say wearing a mask at all.
Okay, it's in this document that he's referring to, the one I have, the actual copy that they've signed, that says the applicant agrees to abide by all the rules and regulations of the Millis School District, which are attached here. And I don't know if,
But that doesn't,
Right.
that's a 2004 document.
there's a 9 actually.
2000,
He just signed this. This is what they filled out.
no, I understand. Where does it say wear a mask in this document? I don't think it does.
Okay.
Thank you.
Harry, what was the retroactive date, 26?
Sorry, I just clicked out of it. Let me check. No, you're good. It is retroactive to September 27th, which was the start of their season.
Any other further discussion? Or was it seconded? Did we second the motion?
Yep,
Was
Mark,
seconded.
yep, Mark did.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Consideration to approve the Millis High School clubs for fiscal year '22.
Madam Chair.
Ms. Roach.
I make a motion to approve, sorry, I just lost it, the Millis High School clubs for FY '22.
Which file is that?
Number 4.
Student activity accounts
Oh,
Accounts
memo.
memo,
Okay.
yeah.
memo, yeah.
Do you need
Oh,
anything else for
second.
that, or just, is that good enough?
That's enough.
Okay.
Did somebody second?
Thank you, Terry.
Oh, so we're approving
The club.
Just what the clubs are?
Just,
Yeah,
Yeah, do you want to talk about it, Terry?
I can do a brief explanation here.
Thank
Okay.
you.
So, before I came here, you had many years of an audit finding for student activities that said the school committee did not annually approve the student activity clubs and activities. And so, first year I was here, it's on me, I didn't fix it in the first year. Second year, for a variety of reasons, didn't get it fixed. And of course, then we ran into the pandemic. So this year, we thought, well, you know what? Let's get that list together. Let's put it forward. And once we have it approved once, we have the basic list together. So it should be relatively easy, not only to bring to you every year, but just the core list is not going to change that much from year to year as well. So hence, that's why it's before you.
There's like class of 2020 and class of 21
Yes.
on here still. Do they need to be there?
21
Yes.
has
For 20,
Graduate.
class of 20.
They do for the moment.
Okay.
Okay, they still have an active account. That's
Okay.
one of the things we have to go through, and we're creating a student activity manual,
Okay.
and we'll have to bring it to you, and there may be some policy issues you'll have to address, and one of them is what we do with legacy accounts.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Did somebody second that?
I did.
Any further discussion? Any questions? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries
Thank you.
unanimously.
Thank
Yeah,
you, Terry.
Thank you.
Thanks, Terry.
All right, Miss Knowlton, would you like to come on down and tell us about the wonderful world of MCAS?
Good. So, good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Oh.
Joan left me a note that the magic number is 10 minutes.
yeah.
So I'll try.
No
And,
pressure.
Terry has his Red Sox tie and his face mask on, so we're good. So I am prepared to just talk a little bit about the 2021 MCAS results from last year. Good. There we go. But before jumping into the results, I just wanted to review a little background information. As we know, there was no test in 2020, and there were some changes to the administration in 2021 that we have to keep in mind when we look at the results. They did extend the testing window in the spring for all grades. Students in grades 3 through 8 were randomly assigned to one test session instead of taking two. And there was a remote testing option for grades 3 through 8. And in fact, 22 students in Millis took advantage of that. And grade 11, they were able to participate voluntarily for scholarship purposes. Also in the high school, there were some adjustments made to the competency determination. So for the 11th graders, class of 2022, they did not take the test in 2020. So they may be awarded competency determination based on some district certification that they earned credit for relevant courses in ELA or math. And then for the 10th graders, they are still required to earn a passing score on the ELA and math test to meet graduation requirements. And many of the students, when they were in grade 9, were not able to take the science test. So there's been some adjustment and ability to earn a competency determination based on credit in science courses during their high school career. So the state has held several reporting webinars to talk about the results, during which really the takeaway is how much we need to use caution when we interpret the results, that they're mostly for diagnostic purposes, that we can draw some inferences from the aggregate data, from the overall data, but we should really use caution when we look at individual student results. The parent reports, because the student results are less precise than in the past, the parent reports showed a band of confidence, which was a range below and above their student's actual score. And what that does is tell us if they took that same test multiple times, they're likely to score within that range. So that was a little bit of a difference in the reporting this year. And then after calculating the achievement scores, the state found that they needed to use a different formula to calculate the student growth percentile than they usually use. And that was so that it would align better to what the achievement scores were. And the state essentially said, and this is their words, that the pandemic functioned as an academic headwind for most students, slowing their academic progress and their growth. So they made adjustments to reflect that. Then in terms of accountability, the Department of Education is not releasing any DART school comparisons this year. Again, citing the results are really for diagnostic purposes. They really caution against comparing school to school within district, district to district, and ask us to look more at what it can tell us about how we need to proceed going forward this year. So in terms of overall impressions, I think that the state participation rate was cited as 89 to 97%. They're claiming that there was no difference really in the results for students who took it remotely and students who took it in person. Generally, ELA emerged as a little bit stronger across the state than math scores did. And overall, the growth percentile is not 50% this year. When I show you some of the actual data, you'll see that the growth percentile is much lower this year. In terms of Millis, our student performance pretty much mirrored the state. Our participation rate was pretty high. Again, our ELA performance was a little stronger overall than our math performance. And there really wasn't much of an impact, it looked like, in grade 10 in terms of our results. And overall, we're equal to or above the state averages, kind of across the board when we look at the aggregate. So this is just a look at the graphs that compare Millis results to the state. I don't know if you can see, but the blue is exceeding expectations. The green is students who met expectations, the percentage. Orange is partially meeting, and red is not meeting expectations. Again, the 10th grade tests were not modified. They took the same basic test they took in 2019. And so this provides a visual look at how Millis overall compared to the state in ELA. And then this is the same representation for math. And you can see that Millis exceeded the state average for the percent of students meeting and exceeding expectations in 10th grade. And then we move to the aggregate for grades 3 through 8. Similar graphs, similar results. Again, Millis is exceeding the state average for the percent of students that are meeting and exceeding expectations. And this is for mathematics. Again, the blue and the green represent exceeding and meeting. The orange is partially meeting, and red is not meeting expectations. And similar for 5 and 8 science. So kind of across the board, when we looked at our overall results, our students in Millis met or exceeded the expectations for mastery at a little higher rate than the state. To show you that same data a little bit a different way in numerical form, these are the percentages at each level of proficiency. And if you take a look at the meeting and exceeding column, you can see the numbers and how we compare to the state. And then if you take a look at the red columns at the end, how we had a smaller percentage not meeting expectations as compared to the state.
So, Maureen?
Yep.
Madam Chair. So could you go back to the 3 to 8 mathematics, the visual slide, the bar graph?
Sure. The 3 to 8 math?
3 to 8 math.
Yep.
In the exceeding expectations, this was the only segment that we didn't do better than the state. I don't know what, it's hard to tell anything. What is it, what's in the state, what is the number above the blue?
5.
And we're 4?
And we're 4. For
Okay.
exceeding
I thought it was 4 to
expectations.
8.
Nope.
So there's
sorry.
still a little difference. So it's very close. Never mind. I couldn't tell what the number was. I thought it was 50% more.
Yep,
Okay. I'm all set.
for exceeding.
3 to 8 math.
And then I broke it down here for you.
So 46 to 30. No. that
In the
would-
2 categories, meeting and exceeding together.
Oh, you combine them. Okay.
Yeah, they're combined.
I got you. Thank you.
Right, so,
So we are above, when you combine them, we're
Yes, when you
significantly
combine the two
above in
categories.
all of them. Okay.
yep. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I'm good.
And so then this is the student growth representation. So in the past, 50 has represented the average or the mean student growth for the state. And we would consider a range between 40 and 60% on student growth to be indicative of 1 year's growth. So that's what we would that was our target range. Again, the state revised their formula so that the student growth percentile was better aligned with achievement scores, and that resulted in a drop in the state averages. And the takeaway here is that Millis is at or above the state averages for student growth as well. And when we look at the deviation from, between Millis and the state, I think our grade 6 to 8 ELA score stands out, our growth there. We are, pretty significantly, given the situation, above the state average there for student growth. This slide I popped in, I don't think it's in your printout if you have a handout, but I popped it in an additional slide. Again, being cautious about comparisons and only using aggregate data. But the state has said that there's some reasonable ability to look back and see the trend over time and include the 2021 data. Noting that there were modifications, there's a span between 2019 and 21 test dates, and there's an impact of hybrid and remote learning, but you can see sort of the trend over time in our scores. I think, again, it reflects what we saw, what the state has reported across the board in terms of math performance dropping a little bit last year. So that's something that we're, looking at. So what are we doing with the results? We're using the results not as looking at independent progress so much as looking at it from a diagnostic point of view for teachers. The state releases essay responses so they can go back and read what students wrote last year for the ELA essays and use that to inform instruction this year where they see weaknesses. We looked at item analysis reports where they can, again, find strengths and weaknesses in student performance to inform their instruction this year. And look at points of entry where we're going to see gaps or where we need to go back and adjust grade level instruction based on maybe some missed learning opportunities last year. And then the individual results we're using as one data point when we look at students and we try to figure out who could benefit from additional tiered support. So it's one piece of information. And so it's used to tell a story and, you know, kind of a story of the impact of the pandemic on learning. And we, again, interpret the results with caution and take away what we can to help us inform instruction this year. Right? And then looking ahead, it's basically business as usual for MCAS this year, according to the state. They've set their calendar for the year and set the windows for the assessments. And DESE is currently reviewing their options for how schools and districts will be held accountable or what they'll set as targets for accountability for next year. So they haven't published those yet. So, any questions?
Thanks for coming in and hopefully your new role, since I think this is the first time you've been here
Yep.
as Director of Curriculum.
Right.
Have they said anything, or are they talking about adjusting the tests or what's covered in the tests if they think there was any kind of like catch up, or to an extent like if there's, you know, if kids didn't get, or if we couldn't get in the last 2 years or a year and a half, if we couldn't get to every element that we were supposed to in 6th grade, like, or are they just basically taking, you know, if those kids were in 6th grade 2 years ago, 8th grade, they're taking the same 8th grade with the same expectations as the 8th graders took it 3 years ago.
That's my understanding. So they've said we'll go back to 2 sessions of ELA, 2 sessions of math, 2 sessions of science for grades 3 through 8. And the state is, you know, encouraging us to have an accelerated learning approach this year rather than remediation. So, you know, our focus is still on grade level standards at each level, but making those just-in-time adjustments when we notice that an entry-level skill needs to go back and be reviewed so that they can master a grade-level standard. So I haven't heard anything that there's going to be any adjustments made to the questions or to the tests. From what I've read, they're going back to the original tests. Yeah. So again, probably interpreted with caution because I think this year is another year that's not going to be, you know, like it was previous to the pandemic.
Well said, thank you.
No.
Thank you for
Thanks,
coming
Maureen.
in.
Thanks so much, Maureen.
Thanks.
Okay, so should we, do you guys have health and safety?
We did not. We did not have health and safety today.
Okay, so nothing new to report?
Nothing
on
new
the
to report.
metrics for unmasking at this time?
Nope.
Okay. And Mr. Millis is not here for October enrollment, so maybe he can tell us that next time. And that looks like there's nothing else left. And nothing for executive session.
Madam Chair,
Mr. Catalano?
I'm making a request of the business manager, whether at his convenience, to do an accounting of groups that are in arrears in their payment. And so we don't have to actually have it as an action item, but just as a memo to us to identify what groups were owed money. We've had accountings of bus fees and cafeteria fees. I think it's time to look at groups as a whole. Thank you.
Anything else?
Madam Chair,
Ms. Roach?
motion to adjourn.
Do we need to
Second.
do a roll call or
No.
Okay, moved and seconded. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned.